Quasi here, and in this video, I'm going to share with you the breakdown of cause and effect and why this was the single most crucial thing I needed to know to help me get out of that logical state of mind in, helping me get to that ultimate goal I wanted to get to. And by the end of this video, you're really going to learn the 3 keys that's going to help you eliminate this barrier once and for all and understand why things are happening the way they are and how to influence them. So I really want you to stick around to the very end of this video because this took me a very, very long time to figure out. Before we get started with this video, I wanted to quickly announce that a few spots have opened up for the free one-to-one consult with me for the Reality Mastery program. If you've been trying to sign up for a spot, you haven't found an availability, make sure you wait around till the end of the video for the announcement on that. And with that, let's get started with this video. So in this video, I want to talk to you about cause and effect. Okay, and up until this point, I thought that this was the ultimate law of the universe. I've read ancient Hermetic principles and it talks about causality and everything is governed by this, great law of cause and effect. But what I started to see was that there is a huge breakdown in cause and effect. And some things just couldn't explain, why there's a fallacy, why some things are governed by it, but then there's a statistical, like a percentage error that really exists. And the very fact that there is an existence of statistics goes to show that it's never 100% correct, right? So what I want to share with you is really something that took me a very long time to figure out. And I hope you can keep up with me. I hope I'm able to explain it well. So please pay attention. Please watch this video a couple times so that it does make sense. So first of all, what I want to share with you is that, most of us, we're always concerned with the how. How is it going to happen? And, this happens because of the attachment to the mind. We're always thinking about, if I want to get to $1 million, I want to start a business, how is it going to happen? This automatically poses a barrier to your mind because it places a constraint. Because now you're like, okay, that must happen in order for that to happen. This must happen in order for me to get to that. So you're automatically placing these constraints on reality. What happens is, most people, they always start focusing on the little things instead of the bigger picture. So to give you an example, let's say you want to get to 10K months in your business. Now you're like, okay, in order to get to 10K months, I must get 3 clients and this must happen. In order to get the 3 clients, I must do this and I must do that. We get attached to our mind's ideas of how it's going to happen, right? Because of this attachment to the how, this poses a great barrier for you to get to that goal you want to get to, because the universe has its own way of delivering you to the goal. Because life always takes the path of least resistance, okay? Your mind thinks it knows what's best for you, but life actually knows what might be better for you. It's always trying to maintain that balance. This is why it's called infinite intelligence, right? So we always get concerned with how something's going to happen. How, when, why is this happening? We're always looking for the cause of it. And this is what brings me down to the breakdown of linear causality. Okay, what you got to know is that reality, and this is what Newtonian paradigm, this is where it breaks down. Up until a certain point of time, very, very recently, we thought that, okay, the Newtonian way, cause and effect, linear time is the way to go. But time isn't linear. Space-time isn't linear. It's non-linear. And what that means is, it doesn't progress sequentially. Okay, there's like breakdowns to it. So to give you an example of that, we think that, A leads to B leads to C, right? But sometimes we can skip those steps and we'll see that, we don't have A, but then B also leads to C. So to really give you an example, what I mean by this is we start to confuse the temporal sequence with actual causality. All right, so just because, B comes after A, we think that, therefore A must be the cause of B. And just because we think that C comes after B, we think, that must mean B caused C. So to give you a real concrete example, if you look at people trying to break free from their corporate careers and get to financial freedom, right? What they think is, all right, so in order to get to financial freedom, what I need to do is I need to find the tactic that's going to help me get there. So I was there too. And I was like, okay, let's try stock trading. Let's try affiliate marketing. Let's try drop shipping. And that's going to help me break free and get to financial freedom. So in this causality sense, if you will, let's say C is the result that we want, which is the 10K month or financial freedom, right? So let's say C is result. And let's say B is the tactics that help you get there, right? But what we think is, it's the tactics that's helping us. But sometimes there's little things that come in the middle, little strokes of luck that happen that don't fit in with the frame, with that cause and effect. So when there is that room for error, let's say 80% it is cause and effect and the path that you predicted. But then sometimes, you look at these systems, you look at all the gurus and all the courses that you've been following and you're like, okay, these people have been successful. Why am I not successful? And then some people follow it, but then it seems like they follow their own path as well. They implement some stuff that was in the course, all the gurus, and then they just get the results. So something is even missing between B and C. But, between B and C, there's also this path, which is A. And usually what happens is, when I was there, I saw that who I wasn't worthy of getting to that goal. Right? So A is the who or the internal world that's missing. So, we think that just because we see the tactics, right, as the middle step, we think that, okay, this is the cause. We always eliminate and forget about the internal world. So just to, again, clarify this for you, we have three variables here. A is our internal world and who that's doing it. B is the actual strategies and tactics, and our desired result is getting to financial freedom. We always look at the tactics that's going to get us there. Okay, we always think about, okay, what is that strategy? What is that business idea that I got to come up with that's going to get me there? This is the mind's attachment to having a reason. Because we think, well, how is getting a good mindset going to help us get there? How is having a good internal world, being healthy in there, how is that more effective than having the right tactics? Because the tactics are the last step before the result appears. This is what I mean by the breakdown in cause and effect. Inherently, if you look at it, A is actually what's causing all of these things to happen in the first place. Having that right internal world. Because when you have that right internal world and you touch a strategy, that strategy turns into gold. So this leads me to my next point, which is content versus context. So the mind, whenever you ask why and you're looking for the next reason and you're looking for, okay, how did that person get there to that $100,000 months in his business, the $10,000 months, I'm going to replicate that. And then you try to replicate that and it doesn't work for you. Why? This is what's missing, content versus context. When you ask why and you're looking for that next step in the temporal sequence and you try to make it into causality, just because B came after A or, B was there and, just because it's there doesn't mean it caused it, but it's just an order, it's just coming after A. So it's an order in that temporal sequence that leads to it, right? So just because it's there doesn't mean it caused it, okay? So this is what brings me to content versus context. And when we keep asking why, we get focused on the content. But the content is limited to just a description of the event, aka that which is manifest. The material results you're seeing are essentially the content. The content is the what. The context is the general field around it. It's the who that does it, okay? So if I were to really consolidate this, I would say that the context is A, and the content is B. Now, this doesn't mean that, causality is complete bullshit. It works, but there's a certain level of objectivity in reality and a certain level of subjectivity. There's got to be a balance between the both. If you can find a sweet spot between content and context, then the result will be born. Okay? If the right person touches the right strategies, then the right result will come out. It's got to be like that. It's like yin and yang, You need a bit of both. You need a balance between the two of them. So there is no one thing that's going to get you the result. Just because the tactics come right before the result doesn't mean the tactics are the answer. Because a lot of people, so to give you an example, I had a prospective client who came on the call with me and he was like, Quasi, I've been on the same course as the founder of Airbnb. He came out of that course with the idea of creating Airbnb and now he's a millionaire and I'm still living in my trailer. What gives? It's the who that went through the course, right? He was the right person. He had the right internal world as he went through it, but the person living in the trailer, the prospective client, he didn't. So that's why his life ended up in that direction while the other person became a millionaire, became wildly successful. So this is what I mean by the breakdown in causality, and I hope that makes sense. And really the key I want to leave you off with, something I want you to keep in mind acutely, is that all that you want, everything that you want already exists. Okay, so this, again, basically goes to show that there's nothing to be created anymore. All creation is already complete. Okay? Anything that needed to be created is already complete. It's now just a matter of you choosing it. All of this A, B, and C, they all stem from one source. Everything is happening according to its own. Nothing is really causing it. If you keep asking why, you'll see that, at a certain point, you're going to get to a point where it just doesn't make sense. It breaks down because it's not contained in manifest reality. The source of it is from unmanifest reality. So whether it be manifest reality, whether it be material reality or unmanifest reality, it's already all complete. All creation is done. The simple fact remains that it's up to you to choose that which you actually want. So when we think about, building a house, the blueprint first comes up here in the unmanifest, and then we transfer it onto a plan to draw it out. It becomes a little bit more manifest, and then we start to gather the materials to build the house, and then it becomes manifest. So essentially, in understanding causality, it is just a movement of this illusion. Okay, it's just energy changing form. So because everything is already complete, energy is already existent, you can't create or destroy energy. It can just move from one form to the other. So another way of really understanding this is asking, why did the Big Bang happen? It just did. It just did. Nothing really caused it. That's where t equals 0, that's when time actually began. Before that, there was no spatial concept. There's no concept of time. The beginning of time, t equals 0, was the Big Bang. So this is when this linear causality, this idea of time actually began. So because of that fact, and I know this is getting very, very esoteric, I really want you to bear with me. Because of that fact, there is no actual cause and effect, no linear cause and effect. It is just something that allows us to mentally understand how things are changing form right now. How one energy is moving from the unmanifest into the manifest. How it moves from your internal world of your conception of the idea for you getting the tactics and the strategies and making the desired result possible. Okay, I hope that made sense. So now I want to share with you the 3 keys that's going to help you really take advantage of this. Number 1, first and foremost, in understanding that, creation is already complete, nothing needs to be created, you only need to choose. What you got to know is you just have to make the intention. In order to manifest whatever it is you want, you just have to make the intention and choose it. It already exists. Okay? And I know you probably already know this, you probably heard this a million times, but when we get to key number 2, this is going to make sense. So this is basically allowing yourself to have. Number 2, allow yourself to have without the logical ladders. Don't get so hung up on, if I want this, then that has to happen first, and then that has to happen, and then I'll get to the million. Don't get too attached to that because of our mental process of reasoning. Like, the very reason cause and effect, causality exists is because the mind needs to attach cause to something, or else it just freaks out, We need to attach a cause to something. We can't just accept everything is just happening the way it is. This is the ego dualistic self. This is just how we function in this material world. Okay? So remember, if you really want to achieve something that which is unrealistic, you got to allow yourself to have it first without needing the logical ladders. So what? Nothing has been invented like this before. Why can't you be the first one to do it? Allow yourself to have that. Allow yourself to accept that idea. That's number 2. So make the intention. You make the intention of whatever it is you want, and then you allow yourself to have it. So making the intention isn't desiring it, isn't wanting it. It's just simply choosing that version of reality. Okay? Number 3, focus on context. This is the who that does it. Instead of trying to, just do, instead of trying to do from this current state of being that you have, ask yourself, who is it that's doing? Is the doer that's performing the action actually worthy of the thing that's wanted? Who am I that's doing this? Am I doing this from a place of scarcity or a place of abundance? What's my intention behind doing this? So a very simple way of thinking about this is like, let's say a man goes up to a woman that he likes and, he's very needy in his vibe. He needs something. His intention is to take something from that woman. Like he wants attention. And so he tries all of these gimmicks and all these fancy things to take. But then the other person can sense that because energy never lies. But instead, if the man were to come from a place of completeness, wholeness within himself, and then he were just to make conversation with the woman will probably get more attracted than in the first scenario. Right? So this goes to show that it doesn't matter what you do, it's who that does it. If I'm a very, very high value person, I feel complete within, and then I make these videos already assuming that people are going to watch it, that people are going to get value from it. Chances are that's exactly what's going to happen. If my intention is to share with these videos instead of thinking about, what can I take from this? How many views can I get from this video? Then it's probably going to do better than the latter part, right? So now, you see where your intention is coming from. Is it coming from a place of power, or is it coming from a place of force? And this is a great book by David R. Hawkins. Essentially, power assumes a win-win scenario. How can I make this a win for the other person? How can I make this a win for me? Force assumes a win-lose scenario. How can I make this a win for me and a lose for someone else? Or even the opposite. How can I make this a win for someone else and a lose for me? Right? So the ideal situation is power that helps you move on up in the conscious levels. So this is what abundance is. This is when you no longer have to force someone to do something, but you empower someone to do something. Let's say you have a team, right? You're a leader, you're a boss at the office. Instead of trying to micromanage, you empower people to do something. Think about it this way. If you had a law in place and you told someone, don't murder people because it's illegal, but instead, as opposed to that, you taught them that you really taught them, got their energy level to a certain extent where it doesn't even make sense for them to murder. It's like, why should I murder someone because it's illegal? I should not want to murder someone because I love my neighbor. I love that person, right? So it's like all of these laws and morals, they're all just a patch for covering up for a lack of consciousness. So essentially focus on the context with every single action that you're taking, every single intention. What place is this coming from? Is this coming from a place of lack, a place of force, or a place of abundance, a place of power? And with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this made sense. Okay, I'm going to do a recap of this. I know this was a complex topic, but if you understand this, a lot of things are going to become clearer and clearer. A lot of blocks that you've had are just naturally going to get unblocked. Okay? So we talked about cause and effect and the breakdown of linear causality. Most of the time it works, but then sometimes it breaks apart. And why it's important for us to understand is that we start to get attached to our mind's way of doing things. Okay? So we're always concerned with that how. How is it going to happen? I want $1 million. How is it going to happen? And this is what leads to that breakdown of linear causality. When we start to confuse the certain sequence in that temporal, chain, and we start to think that, that must be the cause of it. Just because the tactics of that person led to that result, he did this and he got to, $10,000 a month, that must mean I can do it too. And while that's the case, that may be the case, what you're also missing is it's the who that did it, right? What place did it come from? The context it came from. So that's what brings about A, right? The internal world plus the tactics is going to yield the result, which leads to content versus context. B here is the content, A is the context, the who, the general field around the doer, around the doing, right? So who is the doer that does the doing? So the content is the what and the context is the who that does it. And finally, in understanding that, cause and effect really breaks down because you got to understand that everything that you already want already exists. It's as simple as that. You just got to make the choice. And now let's get to the 3 keys. Key number 1 is because everything already exists, you just have to make the choice and you have to make the intention to experience it, right? All of these different parallel realities, whether it be manifest already or an unmanifest. Unmanifest is just a matter of time it manifests. It just needs to gain enough energy for it to come about, right? Make the intention. And with making the intention, number 2, allow yourself to have without needing these logical ladders to make sense of it. The chances are it's not going to be realistic. Like if you've never experienced a $10,000, $20,000 a month in your business before, it's not going to be realistic because you've never experienced it. You don't know what it's like. The only way it becomes realistic is because you start seeing other people do it. But to you, it hasn't been an experience yet. You don't know what it's like. But you can recreate that experience by, methods of visualization, making the intention, and essentially without needing it, coming from a place of power, right? Which leads me to my 3rd point. Focus on context rather than the content. It can get very, very dry when you focus on that $10,000 a month without understanding why you even want it. Who is it that even wants it? Who do I need to become to experience that? How can I combine the strategies? Who is it that I need to be so that the content even becomes effective, the strategies become effective? And with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. And please leave me a comment anyways if you're an existing subscriber, letting me know what you thought of this, if you want me to make more videos like this as well. And on top of that, as I mentioned before, I'm excited to announce the free one-to-one consult for the Reality Mastery Program is now open. If you'd like to sign up for that, make sure you click on the link in the description below. And to schedule your consult, fill up a short survey to see if we'd be a good fit to work together. Please only apply if you're looking to seriously work together in a program with me to see how we can get you to that next level. Typically, I work with professionals who have been experiencing a professional career. They've tried all the strategies, all the tactics to get into entrepreneurship. They can't break free, and they've realized that it's the internal world, the context that's missing. People who are already existing entrepreneurs who are stuck at a certain revenue level, they can't scale up. And they see that their internal world is the problem. They have all the strategies and tactics as well. People who are high performers, creatives, and in general, people who have tried out various modes of personal development on their own. They've read the books, they've watched the videos and everything, but it just hasn't happened yet. So if that sounds like you, please make sure you click on the link in the description below to sign up, and hope I see you there. And our free Facebook group is also open for you to take advantage of. The link for that is also in the description. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Peace.